All right, so your first official gig, $50.
Hmm.
I had a comedian on here last week, and I asked him about what it was like. I asked him about what it was like being like the CEO of yourself, the CEO, the agent, the manager. Talk about the business of comedy. Once you decided that this is what you wanted to do, you know what I mean. This is what's up, Hot Ditas. Love you, kid. Like, talk about the business of comedy. How you got to wear so many hats in order for you to kind of be, not kind of be, in order for you to be successful, especially for somebody who's done it for 3 decades.
Well, I think it's fair to say that for us, for our people, the path could be a little different. And here's what I mean by that, right? Um, when you're not making a lot of money, right, and you're trying to manage yourself and you're trying to manage your career, and you got to deal with this and deal with that, all that takes away from your art, from your craft.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So, in another world, if you understand what I'm saying, once you get noticed, you get handled and this, that, and the other. But from this platform that I love and embrace, right, and won't sell out, it's a little different, you know, because quite frankly, you know, let's say, okay, and like right now, for example, let's say I took on a manager, right? You can't you can't like if I've been dealing with you for the last 20 years, I don't need you to come and deal with that. I just need you to take the information, see if we can do the gig, and keep it moving.
Yeah.
But for you to start jumping in on what's already established and want to get 10, 20%, that doesn't make much sense to me. Unless there's more on top of it. You see what I'm saying? So after you've been doing it for a while, you need an individual in your life. This is my perspective, who's going to help raise the bar. Not just manage what you're doing. You follow me? So knowing that, I spent a lot of years handling my own business. You get what I'm saying? I actually
Absolutely.
had a manager one time, and we fell out because they wanted to get paid for gigs I was doing for like 10 years.
Okay.
People I knew personally would call me, you know what I mean? Oh, well, you got this. I want my percentage. Like, I'm not paying you for that.
Like
You
you ain't
understand? The
do
only
that
reason
work.
why
That's my work. Yeah.
yeah, the only reason why they called you is because I told them this is how I want to book my situation.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But you ain't getting no PC off of that. You see? So, that's the kind of thing, we got into. And I felt justified in that because, I'm not getting no crazy money and with you being in this position. So, in other words, if that's just a piece coming out of $40,000, who cares? You understand what I'm saying? So, that was my perspective then. Now, in this day and age, my entire perspective is a little bit different, and that there's certain aspirations I just don't have. You see what I'm saying? Because I understand things about the business that don't add up in my spirit,
Okay.
if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay. Okay. You rocking and rolling. You decided this is something that you want to do. Um, there are a ton of comedians that we can all name. Are there any? Do you have any experiences that you could talk about dealing with comedians that are like household names, that are like world renowned, that you kind of started with, or they started with you, or any type of experiences like that?
Well, going back to the Uptown Comedy Club, Tracy Morgan and me started on the exact same night.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we was backstage, and Tracy had on his biscuit hat with the propeller, and he was like, "Yo, you think I'm gonna be funny tonight?" And
Hustle.
I was like, "Yeah, man." And he went out that joint, and his first night on stage, he ripped that joint down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's and then Mike Epps, I came up with him.
Wow.
I came up with, I mean, wow, it's a lot of cats that I literally came up with. And there's others that I just happen to know and meet along the way.
Now, how has being a comedian affected your life in terms of travel? I saw an interview that you did. It was a short interview, but I don't know if you was in Jamaica or wherever. But you were sitting down talking to a nice young lady. You were talking about the experiences and the differences between performing in the States and performing overseas. Where has this business of comedy taken you, and how has that affected your life?
Oh man, I mean, it's kind of crazy because of comedy, I'm not a vacationer. You get what I'm saying? I'm not a dude. I'll go somewhere, but I'm not a dude who'll sit around and go, I want to go on vacation, because I've been to a lot of places, and when you understand what you're doing, right? You may be on a plane for 17 hours, but you're only going to work, 40 minutes a day. So you got a lot of free time. You
Yeah,
follow me?
yeah,
So you get to explore, you get to do a lot of things when you're actually at work. So that's been an effect, and not even a conscious one. It's just like something that you look back and I go, damn, I was in all these places and I ain't
yeah,
even. You get what I'm saying? But in terms of going to other countries, like this is a craft, right? So if you craft yourself to be local, you see what I'm saying? And you design your material, in terms of just, rocking with your people locally, you're gonna automatically limit yourself. If you stick with one genre of material, if you just strictly sex and this, that, or the other, you're going to find yourself in some peculiar positions. So when I go somewhere, I've been blessed with, just being able to just do what I do,
mm,
and just alter it for the moment. It's no different for me than going to a corporate situation or a church or the hood. It don't make a difference. I'm there to bring my craft to fruition. You know what I mean? So I've always tried to write universally. I don't, you know what I mean? So even if I'm talking about the Bronx, I'm gonna say it in a way that you'll understand it if you're in Istanbul. So
yeah.
that's how I've been able to operate.
So you talk about writing, right? So I see comedy in the same realm as MCs, right? So now there's a lot of talk about if your pen game not strong and you got somebody writing for you, that takes away from your overall status. Do you Have you ever had a writer for your comedy? And have you ever written for anybody in your comedy?
Um, I can't say that I've really like been a part of a writing team to write for any individual, but I've always contributed and helped,
Okay.
free of charge. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily a whole joke. It could be a tag or punchline. And I do that. That's just on GP. I'm not a dude who gonna sit in the club and watch, especially like a younger comedian or veteran, tell a joke that I know could be funnier, and then take it and be funnier with it. I'm
Yeah.
the dude that's gonna run up after you get off stage and be like, "Hey man, if you do this, you probably get a bigger hit." That's just how I'm built. Um, I've been at Spike TV for a couple years. Writing for a show, and I've done some other writing projects. I've written screenplays, stage plays. I used to get called to go out and punch up the stage plays, like Mama I Burned the Biscuits by the Sink, you know?
So,
Yeah,
so,
so
being a comedian is different lanes that you can. There's different lanes that you can be relevant in. You know what I mean? You got the headliners.
absolutely.
You got the
Yeah.
headliner. You got the, opening act. You got the hosting. Right? Tell me some stories about hosting that, because I just got a feeling that you being a headliner or you being just a comedian is not your only way of making your mark in comedy. And comedians can host multiple shows. They can host comedy shows. They can host uh, fashion shows. They can host the Oscars. They can host the Emmys. They can host the Grammys. Tell me some hosting stories, some about you hosting.
I don't know if it's all these years. It's hard to just pick one, but I tell you this. I fashioned my hosting style. Like I told you, I came up in the Uptown Comedy Club, and there was a brother there that used to host a show called Monterio Ivy. That was his name. All right, rest in peace, brother. And I was always so intrigued by his simplicity and his style. Like, he would say the same thing every week and just rip the joint down, you know. So I don't have a tendency to repeat everything he said, but in terms of the style, I can honestly say I fashioned my style of hosting behind him, which is simple, right? If you go in on somebody, you know, if they're not laughing, then it's not funny. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So never at somebody's expense, you know, do you make, you know, like, you don't make a person cry to make everybody else laugh. You see what I'm saying? So whenever I interact with the audience, and that's my style of hosting, pretty much interacting and setting up the room. But sometimes you can't do that, because if you're in a theater, you know, you got a light on you, you can barely see the first row.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or it's a little different if you're doing a music concert. If you're doing a music concert, the lights are on because the room is still getting set up while you're on stage. So then your interaction can be a little bit different.
Okay.
You see, so every host position, you know, has its own elements. But the key is, right, for a host, your job is to make the audience feel comfortable and bring them into the show. That's it. You get out the way, you bring on the comedians, and you do that for as many comedians as you have to bring on. You know, and you don't come out and try to burn the joint up with jokes. Sometimes you don't even have to tell jokes when you're hosting.
Yeah.
You know, if you can set the tone right, you don't have to step on any material for the other comedians. Let them come out and then do all the jokes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in other words, if it's 4, 5 comedians on the show, and 3 of them got Corona jokes, you see what I'm saying? I don't have to do 10 minutes on Corona. You follow me? And I'm just using that hypothetically.
Yeah.
If I do that, it's an injustice to the rest of the show.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
If I got some real comedians that I'm rocking with, they're going to come out and they're going to touch on this hot topic.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not fair for me as a host to get into all that. But sometimes the room is not settled, and you got to set the tone for the comedians.
Absolutely.
So you got to go into 4 or 5 minutes, maybe 3 or 4 minutes of one of your jokes, you know, maybe one of your closes, just to get the room right. Then you let the crew come out.